All right, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Commodores. It's another Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, and we've got a special program for everybody this evening. This will be our second roundtable panel discussion about life after football, the transition away from being a football player on whatever level you stopped into the civilian world. And this evening, we've got Dr. Tess Kilwein, who is she works with Vanderbilt athletes. She is a clinical psychologist who, from the University of Wyoming, was her training. She's worked at other universities, but now she works with our athletes at Vanderbilt. So, Dr. Kilwein, thank you for being here this evening. We really appreciate you making some time for us tonight.
Thanks for having me. During today's conversation with Commodores, we're going to be talking about life after ball. So I'd like to welcome and ask each of our panelists to briefly introduce themselves with when and where they played and where they transitioned to afterwards. So Wesley, if you don't mind starting us off, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Wesley Tate. I played 09 to 2013. When football was over, I transitioned into business and entrepreneurships and sales. So been doing that ever since in software, and now I'm in renewable energies and solar. So currently living in San Diego, California.
Thanks, Wesley. What about you, Ed?
Ed Zaborowski. I was at Vandy from 1976 to 1980. Got my BS in mathematics, and for 42 years was a high school mathematics teacher in Nashville, Tennessee, at Franklin Road Academy, and retired in May of 2022.
Thanks, Ed. John, we'll go to you next.
Hi, everybody. John DiNardi. My class was 1986 to 1990. I came to Vandy via Chicago, Illinois, and played there for the 4 years. Made my way back to Chicago and presently serve as president of a lighting technology company in Tampa, Florida. So thanks for having me.
Thanks. Robert, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, my name is Robert Davis. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. Played at Vandy from 90 to 94. From there, played a little bit of ball, went to Dolphins, Vikings, Canada, as well as over in Europe and arena ball. After playing ball, I got into retail management. From there, I am currently working in benefits.
Awesome. Jamie.
Hey guys, Jamie Winborn, played 97 to 2001. Went on to play 10 years pro, and after that just got into real estate, investing and doing rehabs and all of that, and then went on and got into the trucking industry.
Awesome, thank you. Now that we've heard and had an introduction,
that's about it,
of our panelists, what I'm going to do is sort of go roundabout and ask some different questions focusing on transition out of sport. So transitioning out of sport can be a really challenging time for athletes. Can you talk about any struggles that you faced during your own transition? And we'll go ahead and start with Wesley again.
Yeah, so my transition was it was a forced transition due to injury, and believe I had the capabilities to continue to play and had, obviously the on paper attributes, but, the injuries kind of forced me to go a different direction. So, but my mindset always was when I was playing ball, well, when my time is over, is to be done, it's over with. And, it's kind of why a majority of guys and girls choose to go to a school like Vanderbilt, because you kind of see a larger vision outside of just football, whether you play, you have the opportunity like Jamie to play 10 years in the NFL, or if you just have this college period of time to play, you make a plan for not only just the 4 years that you're playing, but you're looking at, the next 20, 40 years down the road. So definitely was a challenge, but, I'm still working through that as well. So.
And thanks for noting that everyone's transition out of sport can look differently. Some of us choose it, some of it's forced. So Ed, how about you? What was your transition out of sport like?
Well, much like Jamie, it was injury, but it was injury while I was still in college. My sophomore year, I had a career-ending injury against LSU, kind of a cheap shot. severed my ACL, tore my PCL, all the medial lateral cartilage had to be taken out. And so my last 2 years there, I remained on scholarship, but acted as a manager. I got to see the other side of college athletics and see all the work that has to be done behind the scenes. And I learned a lot about football, and it helped me when I transitioned into teaching and coaching.
Awesome. And we're going to talk about that, what our transitions maybe helped us with in our next careers. But John, can you talk a little bit about your transition and any challenges you might have faced?
Yeah, I don't know if it's by accident, but I also had an injury my sophomore year. I did come back for junior and senior. I was fortunate enough to play a little bit as a freshman down in Alabama and Auburn, so I was pretty happy with that. But yeah, so for me, after 4 years, it was really kind of almost a little bit of a lost identity, right? You're like, you're enjoying your football life and your athletic life, and hopefully you've done some things to prepare yourself, like either an internship or networking, but it's really this loss of identity with a close knit group of camaraderie, your teammates, your brother, so to speak. So when you head to the working world, you have to kind of be able to transition and shift a little bit. And so for me, that was this little bit of a lost identity into moving into the next phase, which I would imagine is pretty typical for any 4-year athlete.
And I imagine we'll hear throughout this panel a lot of themes and shared experiences amongst each of you. But Robert, let's go to you next. Talk about your transition out of sport.
Sure. My transition just did with age. Been bouncing around different leagues for about 7 years. And then after that, just come a time you realize, you know what, body shutting down, younger guys coming up, and it's time to just move on and do something different. And luckily, in between seasons, I was able to do internships because I always believe that, take advantage of that time, doing internships, meeting people, just gaining that knowledge that you can have from once you finish playing, and then you can utilize that into the next phase of your career, your life.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Talk about your transition. Yeah, you, Jamie. Oh, Jamie, we're not able to hear you. All right, Bernard, we'll have you maybe help him out in the chat, and I'm gonna transition to our next question. So you talked a lot about your transition, and what I'm hearing is that many athletes find a way to maintain a connection to sport after retirement. So maybe you won't play again, but sometimes that can come through coaching or mentoring or even playing another sport or playing recreationally. Has this been the case for any of you? And we'll loop back around to Wesley. Have you maintained a connection to sport?
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of my teammates got the opportunity to continue to play, and then also the younger guys, you get to see those younger guys, obviously step into a more starter roles and stuff like that. And then also I had an older brother that got to play for quite a long time, so I got to be around that level, the next level, for quite a bit of time. But in terms of sports myself, it was actually kind of hard for me to at first to watch football, because I felt like, I deserved an opportunity to be out there, but obviously my body wasn't allowing me to do so. But and then also I had a pretty serious knee injury, so for any sports for a while was out the question for me. But I just kind of took that competitive edge and kind of applied it to like business, entrepreneurship, and sales. That's kind of how I've been able to transition and still keep that, connection.
Awesome. I'm going to skip around a little bit. Robert, have you maintained any connection to sport, and what's that looked like for you?
Sure. Once I transitioned out, I coached a little bit of college ball, actually high school and college ball a little bit. Did that for a few years, but then after that, had a child, so needed to get some transition to something a little bit more stable with coaching, since I wasn't supporting myself. I had a son come into play, but with that, I mean, I still go to the games, I still go to Vandy games, and also still if I got friends in the league playing, or if they're not playing, then if they're involved in some type of, let's say, office or scouting, like a guy, Shelton Quarles, he's a director of football operations with Tampa. So go down there, check on him, check a game out, hang out with him. So still maintain a good pulse within the game.
Awesome. Sounds like maintaining a lot of interpersonal connections that you had to sport.
Right.
Ed, let's hear from you. Have you found a way to maintain your connection to sport?
Well, when you teach at an independent school, you're going to coach. And so I coached football for many years, track. I was a throwers coach. I did wrestling by default 3 years, and three of those years. Didn't know much about wrestling, but had to do that. I coached boys and girls varsity golf. I even coached for 2 years bowling. And for 12 of the years that I was at Franklin Road Academy, I was also the director of athletics. So stayed in touch with athletics for most of my career.
Sounds like a wide variety of experiences that
Yes.
you had. Awesome. John, talk to us about your connection to sport.
Yeah, I think my connections, kind of stem from having 4 children, 1 girl and 3 boys. So I kind of transitioned a little bit after school and football into more of a work relationship. So when I did have kids at a rather young age, I started really getting involved with my 3 sons and my daughter in football and softball and quite frankly basketball. And so that was a connection, and the connection that I was able to kind of hand to them was some of the athletic things that I've learned, determination, persistence, all those kind of things. So my connection was more through the kids.
Awesome. Sounds like a lot of us have found connections through other people too. So maybe it's our friends or people that are still playing or coaching or our children. So it's nice to hear. Jamie, I think we've got you back with us. We're talking about how each of you have maintained a connection to sport even after your retirement. Has that looked any way for you?
Yeah, definitely. I go around the game quite a bit. And I've always maintained a lot of good connections with a lot of people. Something I learned at Vanderbilt, it's always good to be, considered a good character and stuff like that. And, so the doors have always kind of been open, but mainly I took more of an interest towards, the younger kids. And based on my story and how things worked out for me, I go around a lot now and talk to schools and people, kids do a lot. I have a ton of kids that I mentor. But mainly I'm more about the struggle and, the things that we're talking about today. That's what's more important to me, because those are the things I believe in, that everybody's going through, whether you're an athlete or not, but especially athletes, and along with the topic, that's going on tonight.
Awesome. Thank you. So on that note, transitioning out of sport can be sometimes a lonely, a confusing, and emotionally challenging process. And getting social support from others can really ease major life transition. So I want to hear from you all. What made it easier during that time? Maybe it was certain people, certain activities, but who was sort of in your corner during that time in your transition to sport? Robert, I'd like to start with you for this one.
Sure. I think family. My family was real big, and when I say my family, I say my extended family as well, meaning my best friends from high school. They always been there for me every step of the way, and kept me grounded, as well as my family. They always, me entering college, been to every practice, every game, and then I think when it just came time for that transition, that's what I relied on. Just my family to family and friends, and just that sounding board, that bouncing out ideas, as well as just when it comes to just struggling, what's next per se. So just really talking to those guys right there.
Sounds like you found some good support to ask those hard questions too during your transition. Great. John, let's hear from you. Who was sort of in your corner during your transition?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting for me. A guy named Bob Craycraft, Kevin Brothen, guys that were on the team were a great support, and they were a little bit younger, so they helped me keep connected, kind of to the sport. But then as we transitioned to business, some of those connections that they included helped me make that transition. So, so for me, there were some college friends that were great, my high school friends all the way back to grammar school that have been around, just know you for who you are. You're not that guy that played college. You're not that guy that did this or that. It was more like, yeah, you were the guy hanging out in the backyard and playing. So that was a strong support. And then I was very fortunate when I got into the business world, there was kind of a unity or just an organizational, FCA as an example, Fellowship of Christian Athletes was a good support system for my high school. And it made that transition pretty simple and seamless. The business transition to new managers who all could recognize that you're a football player and they want to learn more. So, those accompanying kind of skills help with that transition.
Sounds like you found some spaces in different areas like coworkers and faith that were able to support you during your transition. Great. Yeah. Ed, what does that look like for you?
Well, it was really easy for me. The head coach at the time, Gene Andrews, I remember thinking, here I was 22, he was 34. I thought, man, he is old. And here I am at 66, wishing I was 34. But he gave us all responsibilities, even at 22, right out of college, trusted us to do what we needed to do. One of the other assistant coaches was a Vandy football player, Damon Region. He actually graduated before I started at Vandy, and he taught in the math department as well. So he kind of took me under his wing. So the transition really wasn't that tough because I was there coaching with former athletes. Gene was a track runner down at University of Georgia. And so, they'd already made the transition. They just made it a lot easier for me.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that experience, Ed. Jamie, who was sort of there for you during your transition out of sport?
My family was there for me. Definitely, I had coaches, ex-teammates, mainly more so college teammates. And it's kind of weird because, actually in the pros, I don't know if it's because guys kind of finish at a different times and stuff like that. But, I didn't really connect with a lot of guys at that particular point in time. It took me a couple years actually to get to where I felt like I could reach out and stuff like that. And, they have all kinds of programs for guys, when they finish. But, I can say that I had a supporting cast.
Okay, great. And I'm going to definitely call on Pat in a second here to get an introduction. But real quick, Wesley, from you, who were the people in the supports and the things that made it easier for you to transition?
Yeah, I mean, family's huge for me. I'm close to my family. So older brother I'm real tight with. And I would say definitely family. But also I made some relationships with some Vandy supporters and Vandy alums throughout my time. So as I was making that transition, I was kind of in a limbo phase between rehabbing an injury and trying to continue to play. I'd met people just randomly being out and about, putting myself in situations to actually meet people. And, it's funny how people want to get to know you if you put yourself in those certain situations. So, just honestly random people who had similar interests as myself and kind of express, ideally where I see myself. And, people are happy to kind of make those introductions for you. So I would definitely say a combination of those things for sure.
Sounds like across the board, we have a lot of folks that were getting support from people both within sport and out of sport, like friends and family, and it really is individualized to each person. So before we take a break, Pat, it is great to have you here with us. We are talking about transition out of sport. So if you don't mind, take a minute here to introduce yourself and where and when you played and what your transition out of sport looked like.
I'm an old timer. I was at Vanderbilt from 66 to 70, graduated. I actually had to go back to finish my degree. I was determined to do that. I played 10 years in the NFL, and then I've been writing and doing any number of projects since then to keep the ship afloat, so to speak. My experience at Vanderbilt was it was tough. It was a very interesting place to go back then. Vanderbilt was breaking the color line in the SEC. I had a split scholarship, basketball and football play freshman year. That was the year Perry Wallace came in. We were in the same class. We were both in the E school. Godfrey Dillard from Detroit was also there. So it was a tumultuous period. integrating the SEC was not fun. It was difficult for anybody involved in it, but memorable in the end.
Thanks for sharing that experience with us, Pat.
Well, while we've got a quick break, I want to reintroduce and just say thank you to this panel of Commodores who've played a whole bunch of decades. You guys scanned the 60s to the teens. Ed, Jamie, Wesley, Dino, Pat, Robert, thank you fellas for being here with Dr. Tess Kilwein, a clinical and sports psychologist who works with Vanderbilt athletes.
Right.
And we're so lucky to have Dr. Kilwein with us this evening to lead this panel. And thank you, gentlemen. I can't even mention all the Commodores who've already rolled through here. We've had over 30 who are watching at different times. So thank you all who are there out in the universe watching us, this panel this evening. And with that, I'll quiet down again and turn it back over to Dr. Kilwein.
Awesome. Thanks, Bernard. Grateful to be here with each of our panelists. So as we transition into the second part of this podcast, on the note of transitioning, so what we know is that with transitioning out of sport, a lot of skills gleaned from sport participation can contribute to personal and professional success in other areas of life. So what are some skills that you learned during your time playing ball that were useful to you in your transition in life after ball? Let's go ahead and start with Jamie on this one.
For me, just, hard work and dedication. I sustained a couple of major injuries while playing and had to bounce back from that and reestablish myself. And I think that kind of helped me within the business world as far as when I first started getting into real estate and stuff. I didn't understand certain things. So I had to, just break things down. Like I would break film down. It first started off just giving people, basically giving people the money to do this and that. And of course I was getting screwed here and there, but I learned, I said, hey, wait a minute. All I know how to do is go, then I started going to Home Depot and all of the other manufacturers to buy the stuff myself. So I would, I was calculating everything, and I'm on site every single day. I'm there early, finding out that guys are not there when they say they were there. And I tie that together by hey, there's just no way around, hard work. I mean, you got to be there, you got to put the work in, and you got to fully understand what you're getting yourself into. Because I kind of felt behind when I retired. I felt behind because the guys that I did know, that they were already 5, 6, 10 years into their careers, and here I was. Well, football is all I really knew right now. I'm behind, so I think that kind of helped me to just keep going, fight, and really put in the work.
Thanks, Jamie. I'm hearing that discipline was definitely an attribute from sport. That
Absolutely.
Afterwards, yeah. Ed, how about you? Any skills that you learned in sport that have transcended your time in sport?
Well, kind of a silly example, but my first couple of years there, Franklin Road Academy had some very small football teams in numbers, and there were plenty of times when a coach and I were actually playing defensive back with all the kids in full gear because we just didn't have the numbers to go 11 on 11. But beyond that, one of the things I learned from my injury, I guess Patrick and I are the only ones here that predate MRIs. I got injured in October, and it was never diagnosed. 3 weeks later, I'm forced back out at practice. Actually made it to Thursday before I hyperextended that knee again, and literally had to really kind of force an exploratory surgery in January because I literally couldn't walk and it kept being misdiagnosed. So when they opened up that knee and found all that mess in there, they realized I hadn't actually been faking all that time. But that made me as a coach more sensitive to the players. If a player told me they were hurt, I took his word for it. Yeah. We'll work things out later on, but if you're hurt, let's get you off the field and let's get you to the trainer. Let's get you to the doctor. I never in my career thought an athlete was faking an injury. I just wouldn't.
Thanks for sharing that with us. It sounds like your own experience, while difficult, has made you more compassionate towards the athletes that you coach today.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Let's hear from you, Robert. Any skills from your time playing ball that have helped you in your career afterwards?
Yeah, I'd say kind of piggyback what both guys says, especially Jamie, hard work, discipline, perseverance, team building, being collaborative. I think in my experience, you trying out for teams, you get cut, get released. You can easily just give up, sit around mope. But if it's still that passion, you got to be disciplined enough and to go out and still train and still get back up and try it again if it's still in your heart. So it's just one of those things. It's being disciplined, being focused, and also just even when in coaching, you have to be collaborative and really be able to build team, have a strong team building mindset, because you got different personalities amongst your players that you're trying to bring in, trying to get on one accord to accomplish one common goal. So those skills that I learned, through my playing days that help even in transition or even just with me, the core of who I am, just as far as my walk in life.
I appreciate that perspective, Robert. Sport is deeply interpersonal, our teammates, our coaches, and so is life, right? And some of those skills with teamwork and collaboration you learned in sport have been helpful in life afterwards. Pat, how about you? Any skills that you learned from your time playing that have helped you in your career afterwards?
I had to, I was a semester short of graduating when I got drafted to go on. And so I was in the E-school, and I had to come back and do a semester after going on. And I felt that was a good move. A lot of guys don't finish. I encountered a lot of people later who just said, I'm done, basically. So I went back and got my engineering degree, and then never used it. I went on. I started writing. I've written a bunch of books and articles. That was more a calling for me. My father was an engineer. My brother's an engineer. I veered. I veered from the path, but it was pretty funny because I worked hard at school and I had to go back and get it, but I got it and then moved on. So things don't always turn out the way that you planned them in the beginning, that's for sure.
Sounds like you've had a couple transitions in your life.
I have.
Thank you, Sharon.
Yeah.
All right, Wesley, let's hear from you.
Yeah, just to back off everybody. I mean, it's so many things that I've learned, but I guess the biggest thing for me is teamwork, right? It's everybody has a role on the team, and the best teams that I played on, everybody wasn't the star player. We had from the walk-on guy who possibly earned a scholarship to the guy that was projected to be first, second round pick. And so just knowing where you lie in the team and just, willing to sacrifice for the team, no matter for the greater good, right? As an individual, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the success of the team. And so just knowing where you stand in the team and just working toward a common goal is one of the biggest things that I, skills and things that I learned while I was playing. So.
Right. We're still, like, if I could interject, we're still the guys who were teammates back there in the late 60s, and we still get together because what you go through bonds you and there's no escaping it. We still get together to this day.
Nice.
That's cool.
Maintaining connection to the people that you had in sport has been important for some people.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
John, let's wrap up with you. Any skills that you learned during your time playing that have served you in the rest of your life?
Yeah, I think it's, I agree with everything everyone said. I laugh and say time management, right? You got to be there for that period. You better not be late. To this day, no one on my leadership team won't be late for a meeting because they just know that it's better be there 5 minutes early, right? So that's a skill or something we learned besides, you know, the many things we talked about. But I'll touch on one that really enabled me to excel early on was having no fear. After having, you know, experienced physical athletics, it kind of took away the fear of adventure in business, right? So for me, I was an entrepreneur. I started a company. I was able to grow that company, but I didn't have this like fear. If I could handle what was on the field, then I felt, you know, pretty well equipped to handle what was in the boardroom or in the bank or whatever that might be. So to me, that was a skill that, you know, kind of evolved from college athletics. I didn't naturally have that coming out of high school, but I think that would be a skill that kind of expanded for me and really led me down an entrepreneurial path.
Great. So now that we've heard about our experiences sort of after our careers in sport, I want to go back, and what we know is preparing for retirement early is recommended to ease these transitions. And in college athletics now, these resources are pretty common. So our student athletes have access to sports psychologists that they can discuss transitions with, development offices, alumni relationships. Looking back, is there any guidance you wish you would have had during your time, maybe back to college athletics, that it could have best prepared you for your transition later in life? We'll wrap around and start with John for this one. So any guidance that you wish you would have received when you were that age?
Yeah, I absolutely. Today, I'm a big proponent of mentorship. I know a number of players on our team connected with alumni. I wasn't one of those. My summer job was at the farm. I think John Rich's farm, you know, like cutting lawns or something, which was great at that time to make some money. But I would really say the mentorship and that internship when you're transitioning. I was fortunate that all my children took that blessing and got early internships and did really well. So that would be one thing, is that connection is there today. It's much more prevalent with alumni, get it. But I would say using mentors and also really taking advantage of those networked internships would help for that transition.
Awesome. Thank you. Wesley, anything you would add, resources that you wish you would have had during your college days?
Really the biggest thing to me is just relationships, and, you know, Vanderbilt itself is the network of Vanderbilt is just, it spans across the world, and you can really meet anybody who you want to meet. And I mean, some of the best relationships I had were just random as heck, just grabbing breakfast and meeting somebody, and then that led to something. So definitely just investing in relationships and getting to know people and have a general interest in like what they got going on, right? I mean, you see a lot of alums that are around the program, get to meet those people, right? Why they're around, like get to know their story, and not because they can do something for you, just to, you know, learn about them. And you just never know, because in this world today, it's more just, it's about who you know, right? As opposed to what you know. And you have the skills and the attributes as an athlete to do anything. It's just getting plugged in the right situation. And a lot of those is just relationships. So really just focusing on relationships. And obviously the athletic department, as I can see, is doing a great job of, you know, pushing, you know, our athletes to really invest in relationships and going out and meet people. So
yeah, I love that advice to invest in relationships, because you never know if they're going to be important to you later in life.
Right.
Ed, how about you?
Well, you know, we really didn't have a whole lot in place when I was there. You know, once I decided I wanted to teach and use my math degree, there was no one that was asking me what I wanted to do. I had a good relationship with our head trainer, Jack Redgren, and just kind of talked with him. And, you know, I was not a Nashville person. I came from Northern Virginia. And so I didn't even know the school systems down here, and had never even really been around independent schools at all. And so I asked him about some schools that would be good for me to apply to. And he's the one that directed me towards Brentwood Academy and Franklin Road Academy. And so it was kind of a impromptu thing. I wish I'd had more guidance in that area.
I'm hearing a theme amongst the responses of relationships, right? The different people we were connected with have been useful in our transitions. Mm-hmm. We wish we would have had more of that. Let's hear from you, Pat.
About what?
Looking back at your time in college, are there any resources or connections that would have made it easier to transition later?
I think I think I was in the E school, and I have a degree in applied mathematics, and so that stood me in good stead when it was time to make the transition. But it came way later. It came when I had kids of my own, and they needed to go to school, and where were they going to go, and where are we going to get the money? I married a bandy co-ed. We were married 25 years, and so I took a job. I answered an ad that my skills would happen. It was nothing, but it turned into something as I started working. It was an American Airlines legal case, actually, but it had to do with documents and scanning and all this engineering kind of stuff. And so I was grateful for that. It's in the family anyway, and I could find a use for it. And the e-school was great for me.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Pat. Robert, anything that would have been helpful to you to ease your transition out of sport?
I think a lot of people a lot of guys had great points. I know we represent different years that we was at Vanderbilt. So obviously from the early years to the latter years, things got better. We know that as far as facilities and all that good stuff as well. But outside of relationships, I just say, just put yourself in uncomfortable situations. And what I mean by that is that on campus, you know how sometimes you tend to migrate around your friends when you're in a group, whatever. Sometimes put yourself around people that you don't know, that force yourself to get to know those individuals. And I think a lot of times, even though we're a team, we're a unit, we're a family, that we tend to migrate to each other. What is outside of that, just make sure we put ourselves in those situations where, in those uncomfortable situations where we meet people and learn about them, and which can also build and grow from that. Also, I'd say just a better relationship with your coaches too, because you don't know, and that's both ways, but you don't know after you've moved on from school or whatnot, by reaching back out or what that coach can do for you as far as like the connection that they might have and so forth as well. So that's something I just would say.
Great. Thanks, Robert. And that advice of be willing to put yourself in uncomfortable situations is really important. So saying yes to opportunities you maybe wouldn't have considered before, relationships and connections you wouldn't have considered before can be really valuable. Jamie, why don't you wrap us up? Anything or any kind of support or guidance that would have been helpful to you as a college student in your career transition later?
Having someone around like you, a doctor like you, somebody that, understands, a lot of the stuff that, we're going through. I don't think they, at that time, had anybody designated to the area of like mental health and stuff like that. Somebody that just could put it all to help, help categorize things for us and help us, get through it. I think that might have helped, but I really, honestly, I was just going to school to play ball and try and win some games. And all of a sudden they just, started talking NFL. And then after that, I didn't know about that either. So it just, I'm not sure what would have helped. Hey, baby, Lord, I can't get rid of my daughter. I'm sorry. She's been biting me under the table and everything. And I just been trying to play it off, but
welcome.
Yes, but
welcome, Jamie. Of course.
Yeah, man. So I mean, but I think Vandy did a really good job with us. Honestly, when I went there, everything that they told me it was gonna give me, I went there and with open ears and tried to soak in everything I could. And I really couldn't be more proud of the college I went to and how it has prepared me for life. Obviously, some things are gonna be, you're going to have some issues and stuff here and there, but for the main part, it was pretty good.
Awesome. Thanks, Jamie.
Wow. Gosh, we're hearing just incredible stories and insight from Commodores spanning over 50 years of playing time, from the 60s through the teens. We've got Dr. Tess Kilwein, Vanderbilt clinical and sports psychologist who works with our athletes this roundtable discussion is just what I was hoping we would get this evening. And so there's so many, I'm not going to slow us down, but we've had so many Commodores roll through. I want you guys to know that a bunch of your teammates are here watching this evening and soaking it all in. So thank you, gentlemen, and I'll turn it back over to Dr. Kilwein.
Hey, I do want to piggyback something that Jamie said, as far as the mental health aspect, because that really wasn't talked about. I know during the time when I played, and I'm sure probably before, but you know, and that's a big point, because you know,
Sure is.
they talk about concussions now, how they have an impact on you, and
Oh yeah.
you know, when I played, hey, you get days, you come out of play and hold fingers up, how many fingers you have, and
Get some ammonia, get that ammonia capsule,
or
put it
even
back out.
right. You take an aspirin and you go back out there and play.
That's right.
Like nothing's happened. So
You tape the aspirin to where you're injured. You tape that aspirin on there.
Right. So I think that was a great call out by Jamie, just the mental aspect of it, because as you said, if everyone had that then as they have now, then who knows as far as the focus, the perseverance, the determination, just the overall makeup of truly of that person or the core that have an impact on you once you leave doing school and after school as well.
Thanks for highlighting that, Robert. And I think that's where we'll shift sort of the end of this discussion is you're right in that some of these resources were not available to you all. And now what we see at most college institutions is, robust mental health services for student athletes. So just looking from your own experience, if you were going to give one piece of advice for young athletes transitioning out of sport, thinking about this time in their life, what kind of advice would you give to those young athletes? Let's go ahead and start with John.
I knew you were going to lead off with me. There you go. Well, first, I would say just enjoy the moment. Those 4 years fly by. So really enjoy the moment of being in that space. And then, for me, again, I'll point to, something Jamie talked about and Robert, the relationships moving forward. Cement those relationships because they will come full circle. I mean, I didn't speak, for instance, to Bernard. We were in the same class. I didn't speak for 20 years, right? Because we went our separate ways, kids, life, and then you make this full circle. So make those connections, and then and they'll last a lifetime for you. So that's what I would give that advice. Those relationships, cement those, work hard at them, because you get what you give, and so that would be my advice. Enjoy the moment in time that you're in that space, but then make those connections for the circle of life.
Thanks, John. Wesley, how about you? What piece of advice would you leave to current athletes?
Yeah, just kind of exactly, just enjoy the moment, enjoy the years, whether it's 4 or 5 years, however long you have, and I feel like an old head when I always say this, but hey, it goes by fast. It really does. And, you be a freshman, older guy come in, or older guy say, hey, it's going to fly by. You're like, all right, yeah, okay. And then next thing you know, you're on your 5th year, but definitely just enjoy the moment, but and also just know that, hey, this is a moment in your life. Enjoy it, but also it doesn't have to be the best moment of your life, right? The next phase is the best moment of your life. That's one thing I always I don't want to look back and say, hey, back in the day, that was the best time of my life. No, like the current moment that you're in is the best time of your life, right? And so you have a great opportunity at Vanderbilt, and if you do it right, the next phase of your life will just be just as great or even better than the previous. So I like this. I don't want to be like back a has been, like, oh, back in the day. Oh, hey, the present moment that you're in, just enjoy and embrace it. So
yeah, that's great.
All right, Pat, let's hear from you. Word of advice for our young athletes.
Well, you make when you play. I mean, I'm still in touch with a slew of guys I played with at school. Once you go through that, and we did beat Alabama one year.
Ooh.
Once you go through that and you have an experience like that game, you don't forget it. And it stays with you. I'm 75, 50 years ago. When we get together, that's where we go, so all when you're in the trenches with guys, you bond. Bernard knows that. All you guys know that, really. And it never goes away, and just to nurture it, stay with it. And, sometimes somebody will need some help,
Mm. I'm sorry.
I hope you didn't go down.
Yeah, trying to charge it. I'm sorry, my bad. I got excited when you said Alabama. I'm sorry.
Well, Jamie, why don't we go to you next? What piece of advice would you leave to young athletes in terms of their transition out of sport?
Just like what all the fellows said, take advantage of the people that you're around. Do know that you are amongst some elite people, and whether that be with sports or not, that you're just with some people that know and understand and are in this. They have the same goal as you, to be as good as they can be in life and all of that. And I can guarantee you from my experience and from hearing all of the other guys, those people, it'll come full circle. And just cherish the relationships and give it your all and win some games, because when you win, it's good for everybody. If you just win games, I mean, that's the biggest regret I have. I don't feel like I won. I won 9 games in my entire college career.
Winning helps. Winning helps.
Jamie, I had the privilege of playing for the inaugural season of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were 0-14, and then went on to 0-28.
Oh my goodness!
You talk about perspective,
Yeah.
I got traded out of there, but 0-28 is something.
I think he got me beat on that one.
Yeah. And we're going to shift over to you. Any piece of advice that you'd leave for young athletes?
Yeah, I would say to expand your circle beyond the football team. I mean, everybody's talked about it. I keep in contact with people I was really close to on the team, but I'm also close to people who were on my freshman hall who weren't football players, and I think I wish I had done more of that. Sometimes we get so caught up in the practice and the film sessions, and all we want to do is sleep in between. But get to know the rest of the student body and the people in your classes, and then kind of expand that circle, because you may run into them again and they may be able to help you out and you can help them out as well.
Awesome. Appreciate that advice. Robert, let's wrap up with you.
Oh, I'll say definitely give your all in what you do. Don't be that shoulda, coulda, woulda person. And what I mean by that is, if something you want to do, give your all till you complete it, and don't think of and don't be a quitter. Meaning, man, I should have finished that. I wish I could have did this. No, if you're in that moment, take advantage of that moment, give it your all, and then when you complete, satisfied with that, you can move on to the next phase, the next step of what you want to do. And also just hey, you get out what you put in. And saying that if you pour into whatever job or whatever phase of your life you want to do, you definitely, and how much you pour in is how much you get out. And even with your relationships, you pour in your relationships, because as you get older, that's be your new family. Because each stage, you pick up, you leave some people, but you pick up new people. So just make sure that you definitely pour into whatever area is right there or moment you're in. Make sure you pour into it.
Thank you, Robert. Great advice from each of these panelists. And in summary, what I'm hearing is that relationships are the most important part, that making and keeping connections is important because you never know when you're going to need them. And that includes connections both within sport and outside of sport. And finally, use your resources. So if you have resources related to mental health and development and alumni relations, use those resources. So I have one final question for our panelists as we transition out of this podcast. And this is something I do a lot with my athletes who are maybe struggling with identity in sport and struggling with passion, is I'm going to ask each of you briefly, because I know this could last all night, to share with us your most positive sport memory. So looking back on your career as an athlete, what brings you the most joy to look back on? Maybe it's a win, maybe it's an experience with a teammate, maybe it's something not even related to sport and just your time here. But if you're going to leave with just one final memory to reflect on, that's why I want to wrap us up today. And I won't call on people because I won't put that pressure. So does anyone have a memory in mind they're ready to share?
Well, I do.
Yeah.
Well, mine was, I think it was my going into my redshirt sophomore year. The freshman class that had come in at Vanderbilt, they'd asked me to speak to them, and I was just like, I have no clue what to say to these people. We come from totally different lives and all of that, but I said, you know what, I'm gonna wing it. I'm not gonna prepare anything. I'm just gonna speak from the heart, and and it just got a really good reaction. And I remember that night, everybody went out, and I was able to mingle with everybody, and it just gave me the sense that I didn't feel like I belonged here necessarily. Obviously you don't see a lot of people that look like me there, but hell, we have the same issues and the same problems. And I just felt like that night, it was like, this is what I really came to this school for, to get along with all kinds of different people, different races, all of that stuff. And, I just thought that was special, and I always remembered that.
Thank you for sharing that experience, Jamie. Who else is ready to share their positive memory?
I guess I can go. And, it's funny now, I look at it now, and Bernard heard this story earlier, and I look at it as a positive experience now, although it was horrible at the time. When I got hurt, it was right before halftime. And, I knew it was career ending. I mean, I could feel the lower part of my leg staying behind me as I walked, and there's nothing connecting it. So I'm in the training room. I've got my uniform off. I'm down to a t-shirt and my shorts, got ice on my knee. And then the head trainer comes back in, takes the ice off, and he starts taping that knee up. And I said, Jack, what are you doing? He said, Coach Panko said, you're our only long snapper. You got to play. and so I go back out there in the second half. I can hardly walk, but I'm snapping for punts and field goals and extra points. And the LSU team, every time I got over that ball, telling me they were going to cripple me this time. I mean, it was a horrible, horrible experience. But I can tell that story now and get laughs from people. And to me, that for the longest time, I felt like I was a failure because I didn't play in my last 2 years. And just recently, the last couple of years, there have been some Vanderbilt football Facebook pages, and I kind of tentatively got on there because I didn't really realize what my teammates thought about me. And when that came up, I realized, hey, they thought I was pretty awesome to go back in there and do that. And it was kind of like, redemption, hey, my teammates thought that I did something good for the team. And so I look back now and it's positive, but, after having that leg, both knees replaced and both shoulders replaced and back surgery in my post football career, that's positive. I feel like a little bit of redemption there and don't feel like so much like a failure.
For sharing that with us, Ed. Anyone else ready to share their positive experience?
Yeah, I'll go. For me, I was fortunate enough to got to win quite a few games while I was there at Vanderbilt, and some of the best games is going on the road, going to Tennessee, going to Florida, and packed stadium. I think we played in Florida my senior year, and it was homecoming, because usually when they schedule a homecoming game, it's a win, right? So going to Florida, winning that game, and obviously going on the road against Tennessee, beating Tennessee every year is always a amazing moments. So I would just say just those away wins are awesome, and then also winning those games at home, just nothing like it. full stadium, 40,000 packed to the rim, and winning the game. So I would say those moments for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, Wesley. Robert, Pat, and John, we've got you left. Who'd like to go next?
I'd listen to Ed, and I know where he's coming from, and so that's the cost of all of this. I played 10 years in the league, and we had the Super Bowl experience more than once. But it's the guys basically, and it's when you're hurt, what you want most is your health, and that's the tough piece of this. In the end, especially at my age now, 75, it's knees. It's I have to be careful getting around, and my kids, Dad, what do you think? Was it worth it? You can't run, you can't do this, you can't do that, and there's a question there. There's a question there, and I think Ed really, what he experienced is the worst of that end of things. And there's a cost to all this. But the getting to know the guys, and I can listen to Ed. I don't know him. We've never met, and I know exactly where he is and what he's talking about. And that's a piece of it too. You can't dismiss that piece of it. It's there. And people suffer it variously, but still, would I play again? Yeah, I would. I'm there,
It's who we are, Pat.
That's exactly.
If we love who we are now, we wouldn't change those things.
That's right.
It forged us.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I appreciate that perspective that both of those ideas can coexist at once.
Yes.
It's challenging to look back on some of the compromising health behaviors that might have taken place, and it's still a positive memory when you look back. So both can coexist.
Yeah.
John, you have a positive memory to share with us.
Yeah, so we beat Emmett Smith-Less, Florida Gators, and they were number 2 at home with the golden jerseys. That was very memorable. But then I kind of fast forward to standing up and being the best man at, my teammate, being the best man for Bob Craycraft and the godfather for his kids, right? But I'll end with this. There's really only one highlight, and that was Wally Hubert being up on stage at the Rites of Spring when we had to show our muscle and really represent for me. And it was as we were, fading into our senior year was over, and now we could act like regular students. It was really a fun highlight to be just one of the students and enjoying Rites of Spring for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I think it was
that's cool.
And Bo Diddley.
Bo Diddley.
Wow.
I was a witness. Speaks the truth.
Thanks, John. Robert, take us home. Leave us with your positive memory.
Let's see. Probably have a couple. One, me being from Nashville, around Thanksgiving, family would always cook Thanksgiving dinner for the team. So team and their families would come over and have a good home cooked meal. So with us moving off campus, going to a hotel for that week, the families would come up, and my family would always cook Thanksgiving dinner. Also, my freshman year, it's a funny moment. This where they had that carpet, we call it turf, but it really is carpet, concrete with carpet on top. But I say it was probably that day it's probably about 95 degrees, but on the turf that push it up about 110, 120, and I passed out doing drills. And when I woke up, I was inside the locker room. So that was first day of freshman practice. So yeah, and then an eye-opening moment was going to Ole Miss and walking through the crowd. Walking through the tunnel. And the coach was like, "Hey guys, you put your helmet on because you don't know what they might throw at you, spit on you, and whatnot." And lo and behold, that's exactly what the fans was doing, and that was just an eye-opening experience right there. Just like, oh, okay, welcome to the SEC moment, like that.
Well, thank you so much, guys. What I'm hearing is that relationships and health matter above all else as we look back, and that we all have much more in common than we have different, and take the necessary steps to look back on your career after retirement in a positive light. So with that, I'll let you take it away, Bernard.
Hold on. One thing. I think we all would like to say thank you to Bernard for keeping this.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Acting. I know it's a lot of work. I know I appreciate it for sure. And I'm sure all our teammates that to get to connect through this forum really appreciate it, Bernard. So I don't know if anyone said that to you, but we do appreciate the camaraderie, but most of all, the extra work that you put in on your time to keep us connected.
Thank you,
So-
Dino. You guys
Yes,
know
sir.
it's a labor of love for me to bring a community together. It's conversations like this that are so valuable. I do want to add one quick thing before we get out of here. If you think of it like this, for most of us, the day you sign your scholarship, that's the beginning of your path to Vanderbilt. 4 or 5 years later, for most of us who graduate, that's the end of your path physically at Vanderbilt. So you got about 1,400 to 1,700 days in between to make your impact on your campus, on your friendships, and your network. That's a very small period of time given your life. But what I've heard from this panel tonight, and it's like what Wesley said, right now should be your best of times. For me personally, it's only been enhanced by meeting and developing and keeping friendships with all the Commodores on this panel and everybody else in our community. So that's what I get out of this Facebook group, doing these shows, having panels like this. That to me is better than any win on a scoreboard or anything else. It's that quality of life that's enhanced by my buddies. So thank you, gentlemen, for being here today.
And
Being
you
here.
have somebody like Tess who's interested. That's the
Amen to
real
that.
amazing.
That's
Amen
the
to that.
ironic thing. Yeah.
It was an
fellas,
honor to be here with you all.
I had promised an hour. We're just a couple of minutes over, but I want to thank Dr. Tess Kilwein, who is a clinical and sports psychologist who works with our athletes at Vanderbilt. Thank you for leading our panel and moderating tonight. This was better than I had ever envisioned. So thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Doctor.
Cheers.
Fellas, that's going to sign us off for this evening. Ed, Wesley, Dino, Pat, Robert, Jamie, everybody. Thank you, fellas. Anchor down.
Hey, you're welcome. Have a great one, guys.
Bye, everybody.